Hello everyone, welcome to the Morrowind Book Club. Last time we read some really fancy, cool stories about mysterious Akavir, but today we're going to be reading about Mysticism, which I'm really hoping gives me a skill point in alteration. I may have already opened up the book at some point and gotten a point, but I'm really sure that I'm really pretty sure that it would have given me a point in Mysticism had I not already opened the book. But I'm pretty sure I didn't read it, so let's do that now. Mysticism. The Unfathomable Voyage by Tetronius Lore. Mysticism is the school of sorcery least understood by the magical community and the most difficult to explain to novice mages. This sounds familiar. It's not on my list of books that I've read for Morrowind, so it's possible that I may have read this book during Daggerfall. But I don't have a list of the books I read during that, so I may be retreading old ground. Anyways, the spell effects commonly ascribed to the school of mysticism are as extravagantly disparate as Soul Trap, the creation of a cell that would hold a victim's spirit after death, to telekinesis, the manipulation of objects at a distance. But these effects are simply that, effects. The sorcery behind them is veiled in a mystery that goes back to the oldest civilizations of Tamriel and perhaps beyond. The Psijics of the Isle of Artaeum have a different term for mysticism. The old way. The phrase becomes bogged in semantic quagmire because the old way also refers to the religion and customs of the Psijics, which may or may not be part of the magic of mysticism. There are few mages who devote their lives to the study of mysticism. The other schools are far more predictable and ascertainable. Mysticism seems to derive power from its conundrums and paradoxes. The act of experimentation, no matter how objectively implemented, can influence magicka by its very existence. Therefore, the mystic mage must consign him or herself to finding dependable patterns within a roiling imbroglio of energy. I looked up the definition of that, of each of those words, and I'm not even sure if I understand it after that. So roiling would generally refer to something basically being made muddy or kind of, I guess, messy or just messed up in some way. And imbroglio is like a confusing heap or some sort of situation that's just like a mess. So basically, finding dependable patterns basically within wibbly wobbly, whatever, scribblies, basically in chaos. Within a chaos, just an absolute mess of whatever energy. That's kind of what it means. In the time it takes him to devise an enchantment with a consistent trigger and result, his peers in the other schools may have researched and documented dozens of new spells and effects. The mystic mage must thus be a patient and relatively uncompetitive philosopher. For centuries, mostly during the Second Era, scholarly journals published theory after theory about the aspect or aspects of magicka, lumped together under mysticism. In the Mages Guild's tradition of finding answers to all things, respected researchers suggested that mysticism's penultimate energy source was the Aetherius itself, or else Daedric beings of unimaginable power, either rationale, would explain the seemingly random figurations of mysticism. Some even ventured that mysticism arose from the unused elements of successfully or even unsuccessfully cast spells. Discussion within the Order of Psijics after Artaeum's reappearance has led some scholars to postulate that mysticism is less spiritual in nature, as was originally supposed, and that either the intellect or the emotional state of the believer is sufficient to influence its energy configuration and flow. None of these explanations is truly satisfactory, taken by itself. For the beginning student of mysticism, it is best simply to learn the patterns distinguishable in the maelstrom of centuries past. The more patterns are discovered, the clearer the remaining ones become. Until, of course, they change. For inevitably, they have to. And then the journey begins anew. Mysticism sounds like fun. Wait, okay. I've been playing this game for how long? Do I have mysticism at a decent... It's one of my major skills. Well, we can see that the governing attribute is willpower. And that it was something that they had mentioned that, unlike the other schools, I believe the other schools are a little bit more influenced by intelligence, I'm guessing? Or personality for illusion. That one makes sense. Alteration is willpower as well. Okay, so, you know, actually, willpower as well. Like, actually, are any spells actually... Okay, intelligence for conjuration, enchant. Restoration is willpower as well. Alchemy is intelligence. That's interesting. It seems like most of the actual regular casting is all willpower. But it would seem like the ones with more, well, say, physical components are intelligent. So I guess that's more of like studied, with the exception being conjuration, which is... maybe we can get into that in the next reel, like the next main episode of my Morrowind playthrough. But that will have to wait for another time. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, leave it a thumbs down. Either way, let me know what you thought in the comment section. And until the next book or until the next adventure, when we actually start looking at our stats and going, I wonder, you know, now that we're almost at the end of the game, I forgot where I was going with this. Until some of that happens, I'd like to ask you all to game on.